We are so happy to have you with us today. We are partnering with Burke from College Prep Genius, and we would love to know where you are located, maybe what grade level you're in. We just love having an idea of who's joining us today, but we're excited to be for Bridgeway and College Prep Genius to be partnering together today to offer you some great tips and tricks on all things college. And we'll get started in just a minute as we're waiting on a few more people to join us. So we'll get started here soon. Can't wait to jump in.
Great. Thank you so much, Betsy. I am so excited about this webinar, and I love Bridgeway. I've been friends with Jessica for a long time, and we've seen each other over the years and at the different conferences. And so to be able to present this to your families is such an honor. So thank you. And I'm really excited. I've been teaching kids how to get free college for 20 years. I've taught tens of thousands of students. And I am excited about showing you a lot of information today. It's going to be a lot in a short amount of time because we don't have very much time to go into a lot, but this is going to be a really good introduction, I hope. So kind of everyone out there, put your seatbelt on because it's going to be a lot. So I'm really excited about teaching you how to go to for free and just kind of give you an overview of kind of the top questions on how to get there from who, what, when, why, how, and where. So let's get right into it. So who can go to college for free? Well, guess what? Just about everybody. But it doesn't matter your income. And we're not going to get into financials, but what I do want to tell you is if you fall under low income, which many colleges consider 40 to 65,000, there's total free college. But you've got colleges like Stanford and Princeton that consider $140,000 low income. Or you've got colleges like Harvard that have what's called a grading scale tuition, where if you make somewhere between 120 and 150,000, you only have to pay 10% to go there. Or there's 400 colleges that meet up to 100% of need if you fall under low income. Or if you have a great test score, great stats, and you are in low income, you can get free college to the top 25% of the schools in the nation. Most fall under what's called the middle income or middle to high income. Good news is it has nothing to do with your income. It's merit based, where your students can graduate debt free based on your stats. Having your test scores fall in the 75th percentile of the school that your students are looking into. And the great thing about that is that can be found. You can find those colleges under what's known as the common data set. And that can point you to colleges that you need to look at. So if your students have really good test scores, really good grades, and you have flexibility, then your kids don't have to spend 20 years paying off college debt. I mean, literally the dream college is the one that you don't have to pay for. So what is the vehicle? Well, believe it or not, it is that test score. And in SATs, ACTs, they may be daunting, but in reality, they're beatable tests because they're not about IQ or the curriculum that your student does every day or what school they go to or academy. It really has to do with just logic and critical thinking. I've taught in so many public, private, and parochial schools, charter schools, and I get a lot of valedictorians and the top 10% in the school because they come to my class because they bomb these tests and they're smart kids. But really, what they want to know is how well your child can answer questions under pressure in a short amount of time. Because the way they write these questions, they're not like normal tests. They are written to purposely mislead the student, and the wrong answers can be very appealing. But the good news is this test is objective and there's only one right answer. And once you understand the recurring patterns, you approach this test logically, then anyone can beat this test. It is a totally different skill set. Unfortunately, it's not taught in most schools. So the thing you hear though is, well, these tests are going away, and so there's no need to even think about them. Well, that's actually not true. Yes, during the lockdowns, during the pandemic, students couldn't take a test, you couldn't go anywhere. But early in 2021, MIT was the first the school to return back to testing. And they cited what most other colleges found, that these tests actually help those students who are in underserved communities because it levels the playing field. They don't have the luxury of going to an IB school or have AP courses. And so they started the trend, then came Purdue. But then in the last year, we've seen most colleges return back to testing. Dartmouth was the first Ivy League. Then you saw Yale, Brown, Harvard, UT, Texas, and so forth. So these tests are very important. But I think the most important thing to understand when somebody tells you, well, you don't need a test, unless they're willing to pay for your child's college, if they're wrong, don't trust people because they're not in this business every single day. And they may lead you astray and cost you a lot of scholarship money. Colleges are a business. And the truth about test optional that it's very deceptive because honestly, the only thing that the test optional benefits is the college because they're able to increase applications, which means they get to reject more students, which means they seem more selective. They seem like they're a better brand. And even if they kept the two-tier policy of test optional, that student will need a higher GPA and more stellar resume. And then you start getting into things that become more biased. And even then, they only allow a small percentage of students to come in. But so many times the admissions counselors' offices were so overwhelmed because they had no fair way to compare all students because they know that a 4.0 at one school is not the same at another. And it became to where they started looking at, family income because if you had more money, you could send your kids to expensive camps. And then it became to where they just started quitting because they couldn't fairly level the playing field for all students. And for students, they think, well, I don't have to take a test. I don't have to worry about that. But unfortunately, it's not true because you have a 250% chance or 2.5 times more chance of getting in and getting scholarship money when you turn in a test score than when you do not. And so when do you start this? Well, you start it as soon as you can, even middle school students, because you can't get time back. And it takes time to learn the logical patterns of the test. And it's always accuracy before speed. You get good, then you get fast because you now have time on your side to really solidify the information so that you can apply it appropriately and you can internalize the information. Because by the time that your student gets into high school, they start to get really busy with more school, homework, part-time job, driver's ed, friends, clubs, church, and they get to where they don't have a lot of extra time. You taking these tests early and getting your desired score and being done with it takes a lot of pressure off our students. And it does help them to lessen that test anxiety. And the more you take the test, the more you gain that test maturity. If you can stack the odds in your favor as a parent by knowing that SATs and ACTs are both offered 7 times a year. The CLT is offered 14 times a year. And most colleges will super score. They'll take the highest test and highest score from different tests. And the younger students, they can participate in what's called score choice, where you don't even have to turn your scores in until you're ready. But it helps those students become more mature. 85% of colleges are going to admit and give money based on test scores alone, because this is their most important metric. And what you're going to see is what's known as legislatively imposed college metrics. And that's where they have what's called this high-low cutoff, where high scoring students can get in the top 10%, and then they admit so many low scoring students. Now, what does that do? That means now they have to do something to be able to attract more higher scoring students because it does drop their rankings down and it impacts their profile on the Department of Education. So the test scores become the highest level of currency for both admission and scholarship money. So it is very important. So don't let anybody tell you that's not, because I've done this for 20 years and I'm still amazed by the kind of scholarship money that students can get. So why do colleges do this? Well, they know that when you go to a public, private school, homeschool, it doesn't matter where you go, that everybody's going to calculate their scores differently, because one student might go to a really hard, rigorous school, and then another student might go to an easy school with easy teachers, and they have the same GPA. And what happens is they have no way of comparing the two. So the test scores are the numerical component that's common to all applicants. Excuse me. And even for homeschoolers, they might look at the transcript and think, well, maybe how do we know these aren't mommy grades? How do we compare homeschoolers because they all do different curriculum? So these level the playing field, and they use years of recorded data just to see how well students did 5, 10, 15 years ago with that same test score. And they can kind of determine what kind of scholarship money they can give the students. And they are a business. Colleges get their national rankings based on scores. So the higher the score, the more money the students are going to get. Because it makes them look good, because they can attract more students and can pay full sticker price if they have higher rankings on the books. Students who are willing to pay that are willing to go there, and they're able to bring them in, or they're able to bring in very talented athletes who only need a minimum to get in, which of course is going to drop their scores down. So they're willing to give you amazing perks. Sometimes it's not just full rides to college. They often will give you extra perks like spending cash, money to study abroad, grad school money, new computer, all because you make them look good.
So Jean, question for you.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing from you so far is that there is a way to go to college for essentially free. And it is, I know that there are students on here that are thinking, I want to go to college. Maybe they want to go, their parents want them to go, but they're thinking, I am a terrible test taker. I'm afraid. I have talked to many students at Bridgeway Academy and over the years that are saying, like, I am afraid of this. I'm afraid of the SAT. I'm afraid of the SAT, the ACT. I'm afraid of it because it feels like it's my ticket into college, but I'm not a good test taker. I have test anxiety. So I know you're going to dive into that. But as we talk about some of this, what would you say to that student who is feeling that way?
Oh, absolutely. And I see them all the time. Matter of fact, I was just teaching at a school recently, and the valedictorian came up to me and told me, he was in my classroom, and you would think that they would have a perfect or near perfect score, and he didn't.
Right.
He didn't even have a stellar score at all. It's because it's such a different skill set. We're taught the reading and writing and math and your basics and all that, but nobody teaches students. In most places, they don't teach you how to look at these tests logically, and that they're different. And so there's two types of test takers. You've got your good test taker, someone who kind of scores better naturally. It's kind of more intuitive for them to see patterns because they're very logically minded naturally. And then you have more of what's known as the rule follower, the student who overthinks and second guesses himself on everything. Well,
that was me.
Yes, and here's the good thing. Here's the good thing. Logic, even though some students may be born more logical and logically minded, logic is not a personality trait. It's a trained skill. And anybody can become a better logical thinker, and which is what we show them. And it's kind of like when you learn that how to approach this test using your critical thinking and reasoning skills, then you're going to see it completely different. Because most students will approach an SAT and ACT, CLT like it's a test at school. And they're going to approach it with, well, it's all about content. It's all about what I know. And very often fall for the trick answers. And so this is what we do. We show you how not to do that. We take that fear out of being a quote unquote bad test taker.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and it's great. So let me show you how, because this is the exciting part. This is where when families or students see what we've been doing for 20 years, it's like the light bulbs start coming on, and they get excited because they're like, well, I did everything opposite. No wonder I bombed the test. So let me show you. So for example, how, what this is, testing is the vehicle to get that into college and of course get scholarship money. And so let me show you some proven test taking techniques that we've taught and help kids get to that level of the higher scores and into that scholarship money. So the first thing I want to talk to you is about the reading portion on the SAT. We'll use that for example. Now, the reading section, again, most students are going to try to read everything and spend too much time trying to figure it out. But they give you 5 types of passages. And in those 5 types of passages, there are 14 subcategories of questions. And so what happens is most students will see a passage, they'll read the whole passage, they'll read the question, and then they'll read all the answers. And, you only get about a minute per question. So now you're already hitting into the 1 minute mark. But then they're going to go, well, whoa, I don't even know what to do. And then they'll go back and read it again, maybe 2 or 3 times. Now you're hitting maybe 2 or 3 minutes when you've only got about a minute, and you're burning the clock up. And of course, you're not going to get the best possible score. So let me give you a reading example. Now notice how long this passage is. Again, if you read that, you're not only wasting time, you're just going to fill up your head knowledge with a bunch of information you don't need to know. So what we do on this subcategory of questions, this is called passage with a blank, precise word or phrase. So the first thing we say to our students is, first thing on this type of question is you find the blank, which is right here. And then you find the punctuation mark closest to the blank. Then you're going to highlight that information following the punctuation mark. Now, they give you a highlighting tool on the test. So in our classroom, we use actual highlighters, we mimic it, and then we take the test. You can actually know what to do. So you're going to highlight that, and notice what it says. Over 90% of Cherokee people could read and write it. All right, so we need a word that means or restates, a lot of people could do something. And when we look at our answer choices, and I'm going to let everybody look at the answers, and you can see what our answer is. Which answer restates that information? A, widespread.
Widespread.
Now,
yep.
Notice what we didn't do. We didn't read 90% of that passage, because if we would have, we could have very easily fallen for one of the trick answers, because when they write the questions, they put words in there that might relate to another part of the passage that might lead you to astray or trick you. But that's not how you answer the question. So that's one of the types of passages. Now, they combine the writing and language section with the reading. So let me show you one of those types of subcategories. Again, you've got this long passage with a question to ask you about the conventions of standard English. Now, again, students are going to spend their time reading all of that. But let me show you this really cool pattern. Look at the answer choices. Notice they all have the same words, and the only difference is punctuation. So what pattern do they use on this type of question? Let me show you. Instead of reading linear, you're going to scan it vertically. So if I scan the answers vertically, I notice that 3 of them have a comma after the word nickname, and 2 of them have a comma after the word however. But C has both, and that's your answer. Because what the test makers do is they start with the right answer, but then to trick students, they take variations of the correct answer to create the wrong answers. But to your students, as they become trained test takers, they can know that to their advantage.
That's
and
great.
Then, of course, we got math. And Betsy, lots of kids hate math. Yep. And here's the good news. You don't have to be a math genius to ace the math section. A lot of my students over the years who say, Mrs. Burke, I'm good at math. I love math, but it's always my lowest score because they spend too much time trying to work the whole thing out and, just show my work and do everything. And then you're going to not be able to get to all the questions. So let me show you a couple of fun strategies that we teach. What is the product of these two numbers? Oh, well, no big deal. Just look at the last 2 digits, 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Your answer will end in 6. Done.
I wish I would have had you all those years ago, Jean.
I hear that so many times every week.
This is so good.
Notice, no calculations, no mistakes. You're done. And you can use this strategy on not just multiplying, but adding or subtracting or multiplying or properties or factors. And then let me show you this one here. This one takes 4 minutes to work out. Most students are going to start thinking about Pythagorean theorem and, length times height and all this stuff. Okay, in the figure below, a square is inscribed in a circle with diameter S. What is the sum of the area shaded regions in terms of S? Well, guess what? Very similar to the reading, it's what we call clone invasion. Notice they all have an S square. They all have a minus sign. 2 have 1/2, and 2 have pi over 4. So again, the answer with the most in common is the correct answer. And we teach other patterns. The College Board uses different patterns that literally point you to the answer, which is, again, what we show in our classroom.
So essentially, what I'm picking up here is you can outsmart the test.
Absolutely.
And get to college for free, essentially.
For free, because you make them look good. When you have higher scores, your test scores are tied directly to how much money that you're going to get, because ultimately it helps their national rankings. They're all about themselves. WIFM. So which company is effective and affordable? There's so many out there, big name companies, big brand companies. Well, we've been doing this for 20 years. We have won 30 unsolicited awards. We have tons and tons of testimonials on our website, on YouTube, thousands of written testimonials that we have. And here's the great thing, Betsy, test taking is something other that will go beyond high school. It will go
Mm-hmm.
beyond getting
Mm-hmm.
into college and getting scholarship money, because most standardized test companies do the same thing. When they write a test,
Mm-hmm.
they have one objective, indisputable answer and several distractors. And
Mm-hmm.
so we've had so many students over the years and families come to us and say, hey, the strategies I learned
Mm-hmm.
in College Prep Genius class worked on the FBI test,
That's
the
right.
MCAT, the LSAT, the CPA test.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's why it's
Any
almost a
standardized testing is it's just
any
going to be
standardized
these
test company,
logic patterns. Yep.
absolutely. And it's almost a disservice because our kids, whether they go to college, whether they go into the military, whether they go into the trades, they
Mm-hmm.
are going to be tested all their
That's
life,
right. Yep.
no matter what. And so learning the skill set of test taking is a lifetime skill that they can use, beyond out of
Yep.
high school.
Yeah.
And so
Great.
and you got to be careful. There's a lot of companies out there, and I don't speak bad about any name, but I will tell
Mm-hmm.
you that a lot of them are very, very deceptive. They
Yeah.
often make up their own hard diagnostic test that's very difficult, and students will do terrible. And then they'll go through their program. In the end, they'll give them a completely different test that's very easy. And so it might reflect that you've got up 200 or 300 points when you didn't. And
Right.
so it's very deceptive. And we don't do that for sure. Or they'll teach more content, like thousands of vocabulary words or lots more math, and they're just
Mm-hmm.
reteaching school over again. And it just frustrates the students because they're just wasting their time and money. Or they'll have deceptive testimonials that actually were students who already scored high before they took their program, or schools that will get kickbacks. So you just got to be really careful,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely do your research, do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, don't accrue the crippling debt. Our kids nowadays aren't able to, when they graduate college, they're not able to maybe get a house, maybe to delay
Mm-hmm.
getting married, having kids, because 20 years is a long time, but to be strapped on something that you did in 4 years. There's no
Mm-hmm.
college worth that. That's a lousy investment.
Yep.
But the good news is, and I've seen this happen time and time again, is that your students' future can be changed. You don't have to stress about the paying for college, hopefully getting,
Right.
leaving college debt free. And so just kind of a quick, what I've seen over the years, the tale of two families is what was known as the Wise family and the Wait family. And many, many families that I've met over the years who have younger students say, you know what, this is not on our radar. We don't want to think about it. We got lots and lots of time. There's those who get it and they start
Mm-hmm.
early and they take
Mm-hmm.
all the stress off, and they don't have to worry about how to pay for college. Their only decision becomes, where do I go? Because I have so many offers. And
Right.
so
Right.
there's so many things that you can be doing in middle school and leading up to
Mm-hmm.
even into high school. Now, if you do have kids already in high school, they can still do really well. I've got even
Yes.
seniors who have
Yep.
got 300
Yes.
points in a short amount of time.
Yes.
But there's something they can be doing with this timeline. And a lot of families that I talked to who heard me, and then they said they waited 2 or 3 years, and they came to me and they said, I heard you, but we didn't do anything, and now we're scrambling and we're stressed, and we knew we should have done something, but we didn't. But
My kids will be
right,
taking College Prep Genius, Jean. You'll
yes,
see them.
great. I love that. I love that. You all be coming to me in tears, like most people say. I wish we would have started earlier. Is the biggest thing I hear. And so where can your kids do this? At home. We have a self-paced course. It's designed for you to do at home at your own time. It can be used as an elective, which Betsy will talk about that in a moment. Um, but you can do it if your child's a morning person, an evening person. They can do it whenever. And even your younger students can start, and they can spend one lesson and take 2 or 3 weeks if they want to. That's the beauty of starting early, just getting certain parts down and then working on another part. But you can do it at the comfort of your own home, which is great. So we're excited to partner with Bridgeway. We're offering a $50 off our self-paced course. So if you use the code BWA for Bridgeway Academy 50, you can get $50 off, and you can find us online at collegeprepgenius.com. You can also click on there and watch tons of video testimonials of parents, students, schools, all talking
Mhm.
about their students and their success. So I am so excited. I know it's a lot of information. You almost feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. But I try to condense a lot of stuff down in a short amount of time just to give you a really good introduction.
Great. This
Um,
is this is this is so great. So Bridgeway students and families with us today, I want you to think for a second, just for a little over $200, you will not even comprehend the money you're going to be getting back. You could be getting a full ride to an Ivy League college just simply because of a little over $200 you sent. So honestly, this is an absolute steal. As Jean said, we are excited to be partnering with College Prep Genius. I know they're excited to partner with us, but we are so excited to be giving you this little teaser of a webinar to show you all that could be yours. So all these little tips and tricks, there's so many more. There's so much more for you to learn here. So hurry, please take advantage of this. We are offering this just for a certain amount of time, so you don't want to miss it. Do not wait, jump on this. And not only is it such a deal of a price, you also will get a half credit on your Bridgeway transcript, and you do not have to pay additional costs to get that accredited on your transcript. We are going to give that to you. And she has mentioned middle school, and if you are a if you're a Bridgeway enrolled student, you know that there are certain number of high school credits that you can earn when you're in middle school. This one is allowed. If you are in middle school and you are interested in taking this course, we absolutely would, it is in your best interest to go ahead and jump on this and do this and set yourself up for success. So we want our Bridgeway students to be successful, and many of our students have gotten in to these higher level schools, but we want to see even more because we want to support you with things like College Prep Genius to do this. So take advantage of this, hop on that amazing deal that College Prep Genius is offering us, get your credit, which you need because you all need elective credit to graduate. So what better way to get that elective credit than through College Prep Genius to get you into college? If you have questions, my email is here. Please email me. We can set up a time to talk further. But really, the choice is easy. The choice is yes. If you are on this webinar and you've made it this far, you absolutely should go ahead and take advantage of this. Jean and I in Bridgeway Academy, we would love to see you over there. And we can't wait to hear your success story about the college that you wanted, that you got into, and you got into it for basically free. So we're looking forward to hearing those. We appreciate your time, Jean. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is so exciting. I am going to make sure all of our Bridgeway kids know all about this, and my own children, they are going to be in your class. Still got a few years, but you'll see them.
Great. Love it.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bridgeway, and thanks, Jean. And we can't wait to see you soon and hear your success stories. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.